I'm loving this conversation. I'm curious where momentum fits in the 5-step process.
Momentum is caused by law of attraction. And momentum is encouraged, or you could even say allowed, by focus. So what slows momentum is thinking a thought and then thinking an opposite thought. What increases momentum is thinking a thought that allows another thought, that allows another thought, that allows another thought. The greatest increase in momentum happens when you think a thought that's in harmony with your inner being who's thinking the thought, because your inner being has been thinking that thought that you're now thinking with no resistance for such a long time that when you become a cooperative component to that, then momentum really gets big.
And that's where I am right now, and it's so delicious.
Another important question, maybe even a more important question, is, do I know how I feel when momentum is going? And so, what are emotions that indicate momentum? Not just bouncing off the wall enthusiasm. In fact, really not bouncing off the wall enthusiasm, because sometimes that's a sort of scattered energy. But strong feeling of invincibility, strong feeling of interest, strong feeling of clarity, strong feeling of appreciation, and strong feeling of love. Any one of those, often they're all present at the same time, but any one of those is an indicator of momentum.
So I had a step one moment last July. I got myself fired in a job I was enjoying and good at, but I dealt with the contrast really well, and I knew it was an opportunity for clarity and for focus.
So I dealt with the contrast really well. We take that to mean I saw the viewpoint that my inner being held about that. Just now our friend said his business partner is wanting to leave, and we said, good, and meant it. So your inner being was all revved up about that.
Exactly. So I spent about 6 months really focused on step 3. I took a lot of naps, played a lot of golf, relaxed, had a lot of cocktails. And then an opportunity came along 2 months ago to the day, actually. And so right now I'm in the midst of that positive momentum. I can see how exciting it is, how big it is.
This is really a good time to do that daydreaming stuff. Have you started yet?
Oh, absolutely. It feels different, though, than the 6 months where I was allowing. And that's why I asked the question about momentum, is that it feels subtly different than the time I spent.
There are more things that the activity, the involvement in it, offers more challenging opportunity for resistance. That's why it feels differently. When the 6 months before, you had the possibility, everyone doesn't do it, but apparently you were drinking enough that you were more resistance-free about it. Yeah.
Well, it's not even, right now I'm at the point where we're starting to get ready to put gasoline on it, and it's positive momentum in a good way, and that feels different than, the more general
now,
allowing.
May we ask you a question?
6 months ago.
Because you started with the question to us about what is momentum. And we indicated that it's law of attraction and it's the absence of chronic resistance. Then when you said just now, we're getting ready to put gasoline on it, does that mean that you've been resistance-free and you're in the receiving mode and you can really feel that it's time to act in a strong, specific way?
Yes.
Good. Good.
And that feels different than putting myself just in a generally happy state.
That's because when you're turning thoughts to things, you want to be hands-on about it. You don't want to just dream. You want to dream yourself into the impulse to be part of it. That's one of the things that sort of hangs people up, because we say, you got to dream more. And you say, but we're here physical and I want to act more. And we say, we want you to act also, but we want you to plug the vacuum cleaner into the electricity before you vacuum the floor with it. There are a lot of people out there, they're just so interested in action that they're just pushing that thing all over the place, but it's not plugged in. So they're going through the motions, but nothing's happening. So make sure you're plugged in and then turn on the gas.
Yes, I feel plugged in, and
Yeah.
I'm excited about that.
We
And
acknowledge it too.
It's early in the journey, and I'm enjoying every step along the way.
Well, it's got to be early in the journey because the journey is forever.
Yes.
So put it in that context. That'll keep impatience out of the equation. It doesn't matter how early it is in the journey if it's fun where you are. It would be like that 1,000-mile road trip or that 2,000-mile road trip. We like the idea of the road trip because there's more potential for savoring. So when you first just get out on the road and you know you got 2,000 miles to go and you say it's early in the journey. So how that hits you depends on what your approach to this is. If you're just wanting to get the journey over with, then you feel one way when you say it's early in the journey. If you savor every mile and everything that comes along the way, then you like it being early in the journey.
One other question about contrast, because right before I got up here, you're talking about it. Do we create it or not?
Well, you are the creator of everything, but you are the creator of the way you interact with the contrast. But the contrast is the creation of the collective creators. So you didn't create everything that exists out there. So you didn't create the contrast, but you created your relationship with the contrast. Can you feel the distinction?
In the case of getting fired, I could still tell a really good story about being the victim, and I didn't see it coming, and I didn't create it. But then again, I know there was a part of me that was ready for something new.
Well, that's the reason that we told the story of when you feel disrespected. If you stop for a minute and think about how you felt, what kind of stories were you telling about that work? Were you saying, this is my life's work and this is where I always want to be?
Yeah, my work was done.
And I feel complete satisfaction here? Or was it a perfect vibrational match to the way you were feeling too?
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, you created that. You created that. Good for you.
Good for me, yes.
Yeah.